Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here with me. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a full review of the 2019 release Acqua Colonia Intense Wakening of the Woods of Scandinavia. So this is one of my very favorite fragrances in my collection, as you can see by the dent that I've put in it. And this is a 5.7 ounce, so I think it's like 175 milliliters, and I'm about halfway through with it. So I've gotten quite a bit of wear out of this one. So this, like I said, it's a 2019 release. What's cool about this is that it's a cheapie, so you can generally find this for under $40 at the discounters. I think I saw it going for right under 40 at FragranceNet. They've usually got it for like 35 at Joma Shop and FragranceBuy.ca. And then testers do not come with a cap. However, they are generally found for like $25. I actually have a backup bottle tester, and as you can see, the tester has a little additional line of text right here, and then mine came with this little cardboard cylindrical cap placeholder, but since I do have the original, I can just slot that cap on there when I'm ready to switch over to the backup bottle. So owning a backup bottle kind of gives another attestament to how much I do enjoy this fragrance. So 2019 release, Acqua Colonia. It's a house that's kind of known for having poor longevity. They usually release cologne concentrations, which is the least performing out of all the concentrations, with eau de toilette, eau de parfum, and extrait de parfum, elixir style concentrations being the more long-lasting. However, because this is the intense line, I think there's about 4 or 5 of them in the line now. I do have one other from this line, Sunny Seaside of Zanzibar, which is a really nice sort of beachy, coconutty vibe fragrance, a little bit more feminine leaning. This one is more masculine in my opinion, and then it's also one that I like to chill in the refrigerator. So this has a really nice sort of fresh, piney, effervescent, just kind of, you know, when you walk out into a woods on a cold winter morning, that's the kind of vibe you get out of this, and so I like to put it in the refrigerator to add to that extra amount of briskness, I think is a good adjective, for when I spray this one on. So the perfumer behind this fragrance is none other than Geza Schoen, and if you don't know Geza Schoen, he is the perfumer that launched the Molecule line. This is Molecule 01, kind of famous for being the ISOE Super. You usually use this fragrance in particular to add to the longevity of poor performing fragrances. However, as a standalone, this is kind of like a beautiful cedar, sweet skin style fragrance. So this is the only one I own from the Molecule line, the only one that I've tested, but one of my favorites in my collection, as you can see by the juice level in this one also. And then beyond the Molecule 01 line, Geza Schoen's also done Baldassarrini Ultimate, which is kind of a famed cheapie that they discontinued. I haven't smelled that one, but I do own a few other from the Baldassarrini line that are rather enjoyable, just not any from his portfolio. And then he's also done 1872 from the house of Clive Christian. It's kind of like a green bottle, nice summery fragrance. I've not got my nose on that one yet, but I have been recommended it a few times, so it's probably going to be one of my next that I explore from Geza Schoen's portfolio. So getting right into the note breakdown, I'm going to put that up over here in visual form, but there is, on the top we have bergamot, pink pepper, and coriander. In the mid we have rose, osmanthus, and jasmine, and then in the base there's fir, olibanum, and patchouli. So you know, it's got some smoky accents from the olibanum and osmanthus, kind of like a little bit resinous vibe going on there that adds some smoky textures to the fragrance, but overall it's predominantly a very juicy bergamot fragrance that gets added greenness from the fir pine kind of vibe to sort of give you that sensation of being out in the woods of Scandinavia. And then it's also sweetened up by a little bit of a jammy rose that's running through the middle of it all. Overall, the scent is pretty linear. It doesn't have so much of a transition between the top, mid, and bottom, but it's still so wonderful of a fragrance. And then the pink pepper is like very effervescent and bright. I kind of wanted to film this in front of the window here just to get a kind of vibe of that bright sort of sunny day. I think this is perfect for any type of sunny day, whether that's in the winter, in the spring, in the summer, or in the fall. This is a 4-season fragrance. I personally prefer it most in the spring, but I think the transitional seasons of spring and autumn are where it shines the brightest. But then I also really love wearing it on sunny winter days where there's a little bit of snow that's kind of melting from the sun coming out, which is a day like today, which is why it's my fragrance of the day, and I wanted to go ahead and do a full review on it. If I could compare this to a few fragrances in my collection, I think most notably it bears the most resemblance to Terre d'Hermès, the Eau de Toilette. Some differences are that, you know, there's no orange in the Wakening Woods of Scandinavia, whereas there is orange in here. However, instead of the orange, it's like a very juicy bergamot that kind of takes over that spot in this. But other than that, the overall scent profile is very similar. But since the dirty orange is kind of what puts people off on this fragrance when they first smell this one, I know that's how my experience with Terre d'Hermès was. This isn't as challenging of a fragrance as this. It's a lot more easy on the nose, a lot more you know, mass appealing, I would say, even though it's very unique in terms of like you're not getting this in a lot of designer releases, this scent profile. And then the other fragrance that it really reminds me of in my collection is this right here, Creed's Royal Oud. So this one, they're not quite exactly the same, but this has the same kind of bright pink pepper in the opening, and then there's some beautiful green notes in here. I think it's Angelica that kind of adds the green vibe in this, the foresty sensation. This has a nice sweet cedar, however, and sandalwood that isn't present in the Wakening Woods of Scandinavia, but the opening of Creed's Royal Oud bears a decent amount of similarities to my nose to the Wakening Woods of Scandinavia. And now, if I could describe how this fragrance smells without resorting to the note pyramid exactly, obviously the name of the fragrance is kind of, it articulates well what this fragrance is all about. It does feel like you're walking out into a evergreen forest, maybe with a little dusting of snow going on. And then it's just like incredibly brisk, incredibly fresh. Like you just feel like your lungs are filled with that oxygen that the trees are giving off. And it's a very cooling sensation, but then there's like that bright citrus that in the pink pepper makes it feel like there's sun bursting out at you through the trees. The rose note in here also is like pretty prominent, so you could kind of think of like a bouquet of roses laying out in the snow, maybe somewhere it got dropped off on the way to give somebody for a Valentine's Day gift. So, you know, a bouquet of roses in the snow. It also kind of gives me a little bit of like a pine sol sensation. Like pine sol, if you smell it right out of the jug, is like pretty synthetic and chemical. But, you know, a freshly cleaned floor, like a wood floor with pine sol, like when it's kind of coming up in the air a little bit, so you've got that citrusy pine vibe going on with the woods. You can kind of think of that fresh, clean, you know, fresh, clean wood floors when you're walking into a house that's just been taken care of like that. You can kind of imagine that this smells a little bit like that. And then also like a green lemonade, like maybe if you were making a lemonade and then had some different herbs in it for whatever reason, you know, like a herbal lemonade is a good way to describe this fragrance. A green lemonade is kind of like how you could envision what this smells like. Very bright, citrusy, sparkling, but then also very green, like, you know, like walking into an evergreen forest. Who could I see wearing this? I think it's suitable. It's kind of unisex, but I think it leans a little bit more masculine. There is that sweet rose that kind of adds a certain, you know, availability for women to kind of rock this fragrance, but like I said, you know, I think it is a little bit more masculine leaning. It seems to be the feedback that I get from a lot of women reviewers who pick up this entire line on like a haul video. They say that this one out of all of them is the most masculine leaning and the least likely that they're going to be breaking out. So I think it's suitable for 25 and up. It's a little bit more mature. There's not as much sweetness going on in here that is going to make it as appealing for the younger crowd. I feel like it's kind of like a casual, semi-formal style fragrance, kind of like a daily driver, something that you can wear when you're going out to do errands. I think this would be great for when you're out doing some yard work like gardening. It'd be great for getting out on the golf course. There's this like bright, citrusy quality from the bergamot, but then the green from the fir and everything else kind of accents that greenness that's out on the golf course. And, as far as people from pop culture that I could see wearing this, people that come to mind in particular are Bilbo Baggins from the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings series. I just feel like that scenery that you get in the live action versions from New Zealand kind of articulates what this fragrance smells like a bit, and then also the kind of laid back, more casual vibe that the Shire itself kind of gives, with a little bit of a refined taste that Bilbo's got going on. So I think Bilbo Baggins would wear this fragrance, and then Bob Ross is somebody else that comes to mind. You know, he's happily painting those little trees, kind of like with a little bit of a mountain-esque atmosphere going on, while remaining nice, fun, casual, bright, happy. That sort of vibe is what I get out of this fragrance. So Bilbo and Bob Ross, I think, would be good candidates for rocking this as their signature scents. If I had to give this fragrance a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it's a little bit linear, so there's a few marks off for that. The longevity isn't the greatest, even though it is an intense. It's only an intense of a cologne concentration, so you're only getting anywhere between 3 and 6 hours. The projection lasts anywhere between 1 to 2. I personally get like a good 7 hours, but it's definitely a skin scent that I have to get up close to smell, but it doesn't leave my skin for at least that long. And then, like I said, it is a cheapie. You can find this at discounters for around $35. I do think it is backup bottle worthy. I've got my backup bottle tester right here. Just before we end the review, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the atomizer on the bottle. I really enjoyed the presentation. I think the presentation is great, and the atomizer also is you know, decent. Definitely has like a good distribution. It sprays out a lot of juice. You can see the shimmer on the hand there from only 2 sprays. Overall, like I said, 8 out of 10 on this fragrance. One of my favorites in my collection, as you can see by the dent that I've got in the bottle. So that was my full review of Wakening Woods of Scandinavia. Let me know if you've tried this one. If you haven't, it's really affordable, so I would recommend checking it out. I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.